weather statement right as I go live. Okay. Hello, everybody. I hope that you're all well tonight. Welcome to Practically Creative. My name is Melissa, and I am going live. And right as I went live, we got a weather statement from our sheriff saying that, hi, Nancy, how are you tonight? Saying that we're going to have strong thunderstorms. We've had some rain all day, and we desperately need it. So, okay. Hi, Crystal. How are you tonight? And the camera's going to act up seriously as soon as I go live. It has been good all day long. Okay. Hopefully that cleared itself back up. Sorry about that. Hi, Patty. How are you? Not much up yet. I haven't even just started breathing. Breathe in, breathe out. I was just saying that the Okeechobee County is where I live, and the sheriff's department issued a weather warning. We've been so dry that they've been telling us the swamps can catch fire on their own. So we need the rain desperately. And I'm like, okay, I'll take the rain, but can we not have anything else kind of crazy with it? It would be nice. Cold in Kentucky. Hello, Colleen. Hi, Irish Sail Lady. How are you? Having a little bit of hand issue today, but not real bad. I decided that instead of dragging you guys into some great big project tonight, I was going to start clearing off my design wall, which you can kind of see over there. I have to look at the camera to be able to do, or at the computer to be able to figure out where it's at. I was reading weather warnings, Patty, which is not good. So yeah. Anyway, so right before I came live, I was looking at my design wall and I thought, look at all this crud I have up there. And I need to clear some of it out. So I said, that's what we'll do tonight is we'll do a little sewing and a little chatting, and I'm usually on for about an hour. So we can do that. And then you guys can't see it over my shoulder. I've got my ironing board out and I've got a quilt and a backing put together. I've got a flannel backing for it. And I'm going to try, cross your fingers for me, to do some in the hoop quilting with my embroidery machine, but I've never done it before. So I'm not going to attempt that on a live. I'll do that separately. So that if anything messes up, I'm not like sitting here cussing at it on screen, because I have a mouth like a sailor. Couple of things before we really get started today. I know all of you are probably fans of Mom and Pop, just like I am. Pop did a 3-yard quilt on Saturday. He did a great job on it, I think. Laura Lynn is still down for the count for right now. I guess they're still trying to figure out what's going on. A lot of people donating very generously to Mom and Pop, and I appreciate everybody who's doing that. They definitely need it and deserve it. They've given us all a lot of entertainment over the years. What I've been doing, and a couple of my friends, just to make sure that we do everything we possibly can to help, is I've been going back through some of their older videos and rewatching things. And I'm actually having fun with it because Laura Lynn did a whole series, Get to Know My Neighborhood. It was, I think it was 25 videos. And I've been binge watching those for the last few days. And I just love them. I watched them the first time around, but you get credit for replays too. So I've been going back and watching those and just letting them run. Even if all I'm doing is sitting here sewing or something, that'll help them out, gives them more hours and watch time. If you're not actually subscribed to them, please subscribe, because those numbers all make a big difference. Yeah, I want to watch it too. And the first one I ever watched from Mom and Pop, I was thinking about this today when I was scrolling through their videos, was the Camden Bowl. And I don't know if anybody else remembers that, but it's like, it's a fabric bowl that all the rounds are stuffed, So I guess it's like an insulated something, and it'll, like, you could put your thermos in it. I don't know if that's what it's intended for, but that's what I thought it was when I saw it. And that's the very first one I ever watched. Yeah, and Colleen's putting Mom and Pop's link in there. If you're not subscribed or you've never heard of them, go check them out. Great people. They're like, for people I've never met, they're friends. You know what I mean? I love Mom. I love Pop, Marcus. They're all awesome, and they are working very hard to try to keep the channel running while Laura Lynn is sick. And we want to make sure we do what we can to help them out, or I want to make sure I do what I can. Okay, Patty, you have a great day. Thank you. I appreciate you coming. Okay, so next thing, Colleen is at, you guys ready for this? 892. I checked right before I came live. She's sliding into that 900 number. So I'm like, yay. Sylvia's at 716. Dawn at My Quilt Projects is at 790. Stephanie at Quilting with Stephanie Stitches is 12.5K. She's just killing it. I know that all the work she's been doing with So Yeah has helped a whole lot. So I'm happy for her. We are a family, Nancy. We really are. And then Brandy's at 463. She's just been doing some shorts and stuff and working to grow her channel. So I'm going to toss her out there too. Brandy is 100 proof quilter. And that's also giving, you know, a chance real quick for Colleen and Sherlock to put those links in for you guys. So yes, Nancy, we definitely are a family. So, and I'm past my birth year. My number is higher than my birth year, believe it or not. I'm like, wow, that's amazing. Okay, and so what I've decided I'm going to do tonight, because one, I don't want to get into something real involved. If the weather does go wonky on us real fast, we may lose signal completely. So I want to make sure that whatever I'm doing is something that we can pick back up easily. Yes, and Sylvia's not here tonight because she's actually, I think it's like midnight for her, 11 or 12 or something. It's late. She's 5 hours ahead. So I definitely don't expect her to be here. And I haven't even checked Kelly's number lately. All right, so this is what I pulled off my design wall. I've got 6 of these blocks up there. I know that I have more of them. I just don't know where I put them. And what I'm going to do tonight, let me lay this one up here on the display, is I'm going to go down the side of each one and put on a sashing strip. I don't know if you can see that. That's a white on gray. And then I'm going to put a sashing strip along the bottom of each one. And there's my little cornerstone that I'm going to put in. I'm going to put these 6 together and then decide, do I want to work it into a crazy quilt because I've got a bunch of blocks on my wall, or do I want to put it into just a table runner by itself? Thank you, Sherlock. I appreciate it. And guys, I want to mention this because I said, real quick about it on the Sewing Bee. Dawn at My Quilt Projects, if you have not seen that Dragon Scales baby quilt she did, you should definitely go check it out. That is probably one of the coolest quilts I've ever seen. She said it turned out really heavy, so I don't know if it's going to end up being for the baby that it was made for or not. But yeah, if you haven't, go check that out. All right, and then we're going to do the other camera. Unless somebody's got questions for me before we move down there. Here's my sewing machine. Here's my blocks. And I'm going to trade around because I don't need the ones with the cornerstones on them until we get sashing on all the blocks. So hopefully you guys can see that. If you don't want to watch me sew, tell me. And I'll just bring the camera back up on my face and try to talk while I sew. But yeah, stunning is not an overstatement for that quilt. It really isn't. That quilt is just gorgeous. And I will point out to you guys before I get started sewing here, I cut my sashing pieces just a little bit longer than my blocks because I wanted to make sure that I didn't run short, and because I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do as far as putting them together. I'm just going to slide the sashing on here while we chit chat. And hopefully the sewing machine is not overwhelming my voice. It is, somebody tell me. Oh, thank you, Sherlock. I appreciate that. And then, like I said, with Mom and Pop, I just really want to see Laurelyn get better quickly. But I want to do what I can to help her between now and then. A few years back, well, I guess it's been about 2 years now, one of the homesteading bloggers that I follow, she and her husband were involved in a hit and run drunk driving accident, and it killed her husband. And I'm kind of working off some of the ideas that people came up with to help them out. So if you have, ideas of other things that we could do to help Mom and Pop, please share them. I would be very interested. And I believe that there is some kind of movement going to get a fundraiser going. I haven't heard anything specific yet, but I have heard of the idea. Thank you, Crystal. We appreciate that. And I did try to pre-cut everything before I started tonight just to make it a little easier. I don't think you guys want to sit and watch me cut fabric for 20 minutes. Yeah, she's getting all the mods in there. Yay. And Lori at Quilting in the Country is, she did a couple of shorts over the weekend. So maybe that means we're going to be getting more new content from her. She's got lots of other stuff going on that's more important, but I can hold out hope. Are you trying to comment under videos that are like for channels you're subscribed to, or what am I going to name my quilts? I don't know. I'm calling the blocks the flower basket blocks or the flower power blocks. They were originally supposed to be flower basket blocks, like the old timey quilt block that everybody's grandma made from the Quilt Builder card deck. And I read the pattern wrong. And I was like, well, I've made 6 of these blocks, or 8 at the time, whatever it was, and they're all wrong. I didn't do, this should be green right here, these 2 blocks, and I made them the color of the flowers instead. So they're not a traditional flower basket. So I've been calling them flower power. That's probably what I'll call the quilt too. I make stuff and then somebody else tells me what it should be called. Hello, Dawn. How are you? I was just talking about your dragon quilt. That is the prettiest thing I have seen in forever. Have you gifted it yet? Or has the weather been too bad for you to do that? And if you have, was the recipient appropriately grateful, or were they a turkey? She had said earlier that the parents might not appreciate a homemade gift. He seems to think quilts are way too easy to make and they're cheap. So I certainly hope he doesn't treat Dawn like that, because I hate to have to go to Texas and beat up some 20-year-old. It lets you eventually under shorts. Maybe there's some, well, there's always something going on with YouTube's algorithm. There are days I just sit there and look at it and go, okay, whatever, YouTube. because that's about all you can say when it's acting up. And this is why I thought I'd just do the 6 blocks because they're pretty quick. Excuse me, I did not mean to burp in your guys' ear. Sorry. And I know there are other YouTubers who are working on numbers, just nobody I follow. So I'm just working on mine. Oh, I hope they don't ruin it the first wash. Or even worse, take it home and wash it in super hot water. He inspected it. Oh, I would have been hard pressed to let him take that quilt home, Dawn. I probably would have been hard pressed to take it to work and let him take it home. Wow. And now I'm just going to iron my little sashing away from my quilt blocks real quick. Nothing fancy. I'm just applying a little heat so they'll lay over properly. Inspected it for safety. Well, you know it's their first kid. I'm eye rolling. You can't see that because I've got the camera down on the desk, but wow. Like you're going to give them something that the child can't. Somebody tell me to shut up. So, oh, even my husband didn't take that one. Wow. I figured he would jump right in. He never says anything like that to me though. Okay, so that's my blocks. Ironed it. So they've all got their sashing on them. Making sure you guys can see that. You were behind, Nancy? Well, I'm glad you caught up with us. I can't believe anybody would inspect. Not in front of you. I mean, maybe look through it for pens or something, when you get home, but really right in front of the person who just gifted it to you? Dawn, you are such a much nicer person than I am. Because I would have taken that quilt and said, oh, I'm sorry, you don't appreciate it. I'll take it home. Ugh. Some people's kids. And I know that on the sewing bee the other day, I was defending kids, the kids of this generation. Because every generation thinks that the one coming behind them is bad. That's just tacky. You don't do that. I bet his mama doesn't know he acts like that. I bet she doesn't. Because she would have probably walloped his behind. If a quilt doesn't have an oops, was it really handmade? Just, wow. I need to sew my little thing here and not sweat that. Oh. See, that makes me angry for you, Dawn. It doesn't make me angry at you or anything, but that just seems cheeky. I mean, am I the only one who thinks that? I ironed my thing the other way, and I should have ironed it towards the dark instead of towards the light. Because I had already ironed my sashing towards the dark. And I want those to nest, so that's why I'm folding that over if you caught that I was doing that. And actually, when I first started messing with my design wall today, I was thinking that I might go ahead and take everything down and just work it all into one quilt. I've been known to do that before. Just turn it all into a crazy quilt and be done with it. Well, Dawn, if he brings it back, he gets to act that way because he's the baby of the family. What a lovely young man. Bless his heart, Dawn. Bless his little pea picking heart. And the Southerners in here understood every word I just said. And probably most of the non-Southerners too. What are you caught on there? If he brings it back to you, you better keep it for yourself, Dawn. I would. That is a gorgeous quilt. I mean, I'm just appalled. And I'm glad that I know that none of my children work with Dawn, because if it was one of mine, he would already be getting his ears blistered. I just ain't right. So what is everybody else working on tonight besides me and Dawn? I know that over, let's see, was it last weekend we did so my days are so messed up, guys. Especially the time change thing always just works me out. I slept till 11 o'clock Monday morning. I never sleep late, or Sunday morning. And then after I got up, my text message buddies, who were already messaging me going, "Are you okay?" were like, "Oh, well, time sprang forward last night." And I was like, okay, well, I was not prepared. And that's all I can say about that. I definitely was not prepared for time to move. And then somebody else told me, I think it was Colleen, that this is the last year by federal law that we're going to do daylight savings time. I can't say I'm upset about that if that's true. I really can't, because I'm just like, ugh. Ironing and sewing scraps, that's Colleen. And Sherlock is working on her cotton cut blocks. Nancy, it's weird. The transfer of, I don't want to say power, but the parental influence. Maybe that's the right way to put that. You know, because you start out, you're all powerful, know everything. And then, you know, about 15, they know everything. And somewhere between 30 and 40, they realize that there might be some value in mom and dad's information. Yeah, I hope we don't change time again either. That's just, ugh. So are they going to abolish it, like we don't do daylight savings time next March, or is this the last time it changes and now it just stays where it's at? I don't know how that works, but I know that down here in Florida, it seems like every time we have a time change, Um, in the county I grew up in, anyway, it seems like there's a fatality with a kid waiting at the bus stop because when they do this time change thing, it puts the kids out there while it's full blown dark, and that's never good. All right, put my iron back in there. Look, we got blocks sewn. I keep turning them around and around. Dawn, you could be very right because you're a woman. They discount you. They do that at their own peril. I mean, who do they think raises children? Raised all these men who think they know everything. Trying to figure out my block placement here. And you can see along the edge of that one, it had a rough time getting born. I had a heck of a time with that particular block. And now I'm just kind of figuring out where I want to put stuff. And I will cut sashing for down the outside edges, but I wanted to do the other blocks first. And I think that's how I'm going to lay it out. Yeah, exactly, Nancy. You know, and God rest her soul, my grandmother had some old fashioned notions about raising children. And by old fashioned, I don't mean she was cruel or anything, but she believed all the old wives' tales and, don't scare a pregnant mother because they'll have the baby will be born marked, which is, of course, what she said happened when I was born with a birthmark. All those kinds of things. And she believed in giving babies rice if they were still hungry after being nursed and all kinds of different stuff. But she raised 10 children, 10 healthy children. And I'm kind of like, well, she might have known something there. And all her daughters in law were, oh, Berthie's just an old coot. But Granny knew a lot. I mean, I learned lots and lots from her. And I think that kind of goes that way because, like, when I was having my babies, my mom was all up against the idea of not wanting me to breastfeed. Because, when she was having kids in the 60s, it was, they were really pushing formula. So by the time I was having kids in the 80s and 90s, it had swung completely around. And my granny was like, oh, leave her alone. And I think it kind of goes the same way now. I try not to offer advice to my stepdaughters about raising their babies. Not my place. Yeah, you survived. But it is frustrating when you know that you could help your child navigate something and they won't let you. But then I guess we were all like that too. Some people just have to learn the hard way. I think Colleen put up a short about that the other day when she was doing her applique stuff. She was asking questions and I was answering what I could. And finally, I was like, okay, she's just going to have to learn. And she did. She did very well. But it's the same concept. Yeah, that dragon scales quilt is gorgeous though. You did do an incredible job. All right, so here is first 3 blocks. And then I'm going to put the next 3 blocks together. And I'm going to sew them in the right order this time. I'm going to sew from left to right instead of right to left. I don't know why I did that just a second ago. I guess because I could. I had to learn for myself. And you know, we don't ever end up talking about food in here, and I'm actually shocked. Because I think every other quilt chat I go into, we end up talking about food. This is the one we don't. I think we even talked about food in Colleen's the other day. As Dawn was making brownies. What is wrong with us, ladies? Thank you, Sherlock. Well, by the time I made, all of those blocks wrong, I was like, really? Why would you do that, Melissa? And then I wasn't throwing them out. And I wasn't going to put them in a flower basket quilt where they would stick out like a sore thumb. Because we all know that that's not going to happen for me. I would never be able to look at that quilt again and be like, oh yeah, that's great. I love it. Nope, it would frustrate me. What are you doing, machine? I don't like it when it makes noise. Which of course it does, just to see if I'll lose my mind. Which, isn't a far off proposition, guys. I don't know what I did with my tweezers. Move my foot off of that though. Now you guys get to see how I accommodate the disabled hand or the disabled hands, because both of mine are wonky. Those surgical snips aren't just good for cutting threads. They're good for pulling that little piece right there too, because I have a hard time with that. A song in my head now. Some days are diamonds. Is that a Neil Diamond song? Am I the only one who thinks in music, guys? Because I think I must be. You just did. You just did. This is the last block. So, like, let's just get it done. Yeah, she does so fast sometimes. Mr. Selfridge. Well, there's some really good shows that show up on Freebie. Some of them I can get on other services, which is nice. But we watch a whole lot of different stuff on there. Okay, so there's that side. Yeah, Freebie also comes with Prime Video now. That's how I've been watching Project Runway lately. Okay, and there's a reason for why I put the little blocks in, and it's because it actually makes it easier for me to match up my blocks than doing it all with just sashing. Because I'll pin these together, and I don't use pins a lot. You guys know that. There's a lot of British shows that I'm liking here lately. I think it's like calming, because of all the pandemic and you know, the not knowing stuff. I think that it really calms my nerves. I don't know about anybody else, but it works for me. And I'm pinning on both sides of the sashing, or both sides of the cornerstone, so that the block doesn't move. And then down here, I'm just going to make sure they go together at the ends. This one. And then a trick I learned from Jenny Doan. You can see my, well, maybe you can see my bottom block is a little bit bigger than the top block. I'm going to put the bottom block on the bottom and let the feed dogs pull that in a little bit. Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm not even sure. I started watching Anne with an E, and I didn't know that you had kids at home, Dawn. Maybe you don't. You just like have your grandkids around a lot. Maybe that's the case. But I started watching Anne with an E, and I would say it's probably clean enough for kids. I was bored. A lot of the other shows that appeal to me probably aren't necessarily child safe. Even Call the Midwife is probably not child safe, and I really enjoy that one. Um, my pen just broke. The little end came off of it completely. Yeah, there's quite a few of those. The Great British Baking Show, because anything that's basically over the kid's head, anything that's basically not clean is usually over the kid's head. Sometimes it's over my head. And I worked in a prison. I don't consider myself to be naive. But probably it's over my head because it's British humor. And they use different idioms than we do. And I still haven't figured out a few of them that they use in Call the Midwife. Almost done sewing this up together, guys. I think this one's out because my seam allowances aren't big enough on those half square triangles. So I need to be more careful with that whenever I sew them. Still not going to go back and rip out the plots. Where did it go? I dropped it on the floor. I see it. Okay. Yeah, some of them are really out there, huh? Okay, so let's bring you back up here. See, now you can get a glimpse of my design wall. Let's see what else up there. And here is what I just put together. Oh, look, I missed a seam. Told you guys. We're gonna fix that right now. I thought I was gonna look for a pen right now, but I guess I'm gonna fix the seam first. You hate when that happens, especially when you're showing off your work. Here I thought I had done so good. Get it all down in there though. Oh well, at least that means you guys know I'm human. It's not a robot over here. Those pink and green blocks are the ones I'm doing out of the quilt builder deck. All right, and I've got it upside down. So then I can either, if I find the rest of my blocks, I can go ahead and add them together, or I could just put a sashing around that, maybe add like 3 more blocks that would make a little baby quilt, or I could turn it into a table runner, any of that good stuff. So, but that's 6 off the design wall. And right there, if you guys can see it, is the scrap blocks that I'm putting together. That's what they're turning into. So as I sew a piece together, like up there, there's a purple one. And I played with some 9 patches too because of Dawn on the sewing bee the other day. But that's what they're turning into, is down here towards the bottom. And I'm just putting them together into one great big piece. Colleen put out something about she made a piece of fabric, and I was like, yep, I did too. But so there's that little top, and I can, thank you, Dawn. I appreciate that. These baskets are, well, almost everything up there is out of my stash bin, except for the pink and green blocks, because I actually bought some fat quarters from Walmart to do those, because I wanted something that was a little more cohesive out of that quilt. And I almost stuck them in with these flower baskets today. Don't look at your scrappy. Yes, I looked at your scrappy. So, and yes, I understand the terms. Let me turn you guys back around here to me. So I'm here, and she did some scrap sewing. It's not, Colleen doesn't really like scrap sewing. It's not intuitive for her, which is fine. It isn't for everybody. Yeah, I'm liking the pink and green for sure. I do better maybe with controlled scrappy than I do with regular scrappy. Um, but not too controlled. Like some of these blocks have, blues and greens in them. Some have orange. I like that, but I used up a scrap of orange to do it, a scrap of blue. Like I had um, some layer cake pieces that were left over from some other things. And so I'll use, yeah. Oh, well, Colleen, that's exactly what crumb sewing is, or scrap sewing. Is just putting it together however you want to put it together. And if I could get to that bin right now, which I can't because I've got the ironing board up, I would pull that out and show you, because I've gone, okay, I've got a piece that's got a big triangle on it, and I'll slap a piece of fabric down through there, sew it on, fold it over, and then I'll run a bunch of scraps down that, and it just, however it together. You could do like I did with my little bin. Let me make sure I've got the bin here. It's not the right one. Like this is my, I have them down here where I cook them regularly. But this is my scrap bin. And I've got some pieces in here that I've sewn together. Just some pieces that I've sewn together. And these are actual like string quilt blocks, so they don't go with that. But this one is random. And this is just sitting down sewing together a bunch of scraps after I got done making a quilt or something. And then I've got, oh, this is the scrap bin. I have one that has 2.5-inch squares in it. Now you could do a 2.5-inch square bin and just put stuff in there. Yeah, but you could do a 2.5-inch square bin, and then you could do, if it works better for your brain, like I have a bin for things that aren't 2.5 inches square, and anything bigger than 2.5 inches by 2.5 inches goes in here, or smaller. But anything like bigger than 5 inches, I would put back into my regular quilting stuff because I would use it for that. I have cut up fabric to put in the 2.5-inch bin. But since you've got a machine that doesn't have a thread cutter, right, Colleen? Those 2.5-inch squares would be really, really easy for you to get to a big piece of fabric because you use them as leaders and enders, and then you just toss them in that bin as you go. And then when you feel like it, you go back into that bin and you grab two and you put them together in whatever color combinations you like. My thing is I like light and dark. So I'll put, like a blue and a white together and a green and a white or a green and a yellow. And then when I go to put them together, I make sure that the dark is against the light. And that's how I put it together. That's just not doing a great job of filming that. But that's how my scrap stuff comes together for me. And it works for my brain. Whatever you do has to work for your brain. If it doesn't work for your brain, there's no point in doing it. The thing about scrap sewing is you always have scraps, and you can always find something to do with them. You can always find something to do with them. Put them in a quilt, you know, today. And then when you get done with a quilt and you need a border and you want to do something non-traditional, cut 5-inch wide borders out of that scrap piece of fabric and put them together and put them around. That's the kind of thing that I like. That's the kind of thing I like doing. Oh, I don't wait to sew a little at a time. I may sit in here and that's how that's where my ASMR videos come from. If I sit down in here and I just, like the other day I had my scrap bin out here and I just sat here and sewed scrap pieces together until I was tired of sewing scrap pieces together. And then I pulled out my little daisy cutter and took them all apart and put them together into bigger pieces until I had something I wanted to work with. I would not Sherlock, not unless she's got something that's got really low suction. Like they make a little vacuum cleaner specific for it, but I wouldn't use a full suction one. Yeah, they make one that's got like a little bitty thing, like a extension down, but I wouldn't use a big full suction vacuum cleaner on it. Anybody else have any experience with that? My knee jerk was no. I mean, if you've actually done it, yeah, sometimes it really is a pain to turn the camera on. I mean, especially if you're hurting, or like I sewed an ASMR video today and I was just sewing along at the pace that, I can handle. When I got done, I was like, gee, increase the speed on it whenever I put it up, but I was just like, ugh, I'm so slow. Is your sewing machine still working, Colleen? If it is, then I guess I would take. Did you use the big one, like the big hose, or did you like put is a house? Does she have like a built into the wall vacuum? Is that what you're talking about? I usually use a paintbrush on mine, and then I can vacuum it up from the floor or whatever. But hmm, if she does it, it's at her own risk, Sherlock. How's that? And then report back and tell us if everything's okay. I would take out the bobbin and the bobbin holder, though, I think, if I did that, just to make sure. Yeah. I have a stick vacuum in here that turns into a little, like, you can vacuum the car with it. I use that on my counters, but I've never used it on my machines. I'll be using the stick vacuum after the live tonight to make sure that I get that pen up. I want to make absolutely certain I don't step on that. That's fair enough, Colleen. Like I said, I'm not that brave. Of course, when it comes to my sewing machines, I'm not that brave. Not about cleaning them. I want to try. Is Dawn Denny here tonight? She was talking about couching in the sewing bee on Saturday, and I had to look it up. And she posted a video of it in my Facebook group. So if you need to know what it is and you want to see a video, Dawn put up a really good video about couching. And it's literally using your sewing machine to zigzag down yarn. And I have seen a short, and I've been looking for it, about how to do it with a regular sewing machine. I think, if I remember right, they attached a safety pin. I don't know if they attached it to the foot. Yeah, I don't remember if they attached it to the foot or if the safety pin was like attached to the top of the machine and it just fed the yarn down in there. So I'm gonna have to see if I can find that video because I think it would be cool to try. Yeah, couching does look neat, doesn't it? I could see it. Um, to me, it looked like chenille, like the chenille blankets that Grandma always had on her bed. And I thought, wouldn't that be cool to do on the outside of a bag or something like that? I could probably do it with my embroidery machine, but I'm not that brave either. First, I want to get really good at using the embroidery machine before I start doing adventures in embroidery. What that little bug was, but it's dead now. It's a dead bug. My brain is like not focusing there. It's focusing on the phone though. But yeah, couching looks like fun. Um, I want to try those dragon scales that Dawn did, but I don't know if I want to make a whole quilt. It might be cute on a border or a block or two for texture, like on a baby quilt. You put a zipper block and a tie block and all that stuff. That might be kind of cute on a baby's quilt as one block of the quilt, or on a busy pad for like Alzheimer's patients. It looks like stump work. I've never heard of stump work. Need to write that term down so I can look it up. Wayne is going back and forth. He's still working tonight. Yeah, that's me too. Like I need to learn something else right this minute. Enough layers for protection in a pot holder. Yeah, that's cool. That's a very cool idea. And the other thing, Dawn, I sent you an email, but I finally found the 1-inch quilter's grid at Walmart for a reasonable price. So I ordered some of it, and I want to try that quilter's grid quilt. I downloaded the same one that you had talked about in the sewing bee. I will, Colleen. But I did find some. It's only the 1-inch grid. I couldn't find the 2-inch or the 2.5 without paying, an arm and a leg for it from uh, 10 Sisters or Sew Sisters, whoever that was. Oh, that'll be cool, Dawn. I'll be looking for that for sure. And I will have to look for it and see if I can find it. But I do want to try that quilt. And I was thinking, well, I really want to do it in 2-inch. And I thought, no, why not try it in 1-inch? Because then it can make a wall hanging. I'm not, cutting out 2.5-inch squares for the rest of my life. And if I don't like it, I can tuck it in a corner and use it for something else. I even thought about trying to do it, just laying it out like on the table and then sewing it. And I could just see that turning into an absolute mess. So I can't wait to see yours because you're the expert at it. But I do want to try it and see how it goes. Where did you find it at, Dawn? And did you find the 2.5 or did you get the 1-inch? Because I got the 1-inch from Walmart and it was like $38. I did try to order it from Joann's for the 1-inch, and Joann's website just gave me so many fits when I was working on it last night. I finally gave up. But I already downloaded the pattern. I downloaded it during the sewing bee. When I was putting the links in, I just went ahead and slid it right on into my little folder for patterns. So, but I thought 38 wasn't bad it was a 10-yard bolt by 48 inches wide, I think it said. Yeah, Missouri Star has it, but it's so expensive and they only sell it in like yard cuts, which probably is a good idea because you're going to lay it out part of it at a time. But I'm too cheap for that. I'm sorry. I had to get the less expensive version because if I like it, I may buy the bigger pieces. But if I don't like it, I don't want to have wasted, 200 and whatever dollars on buying a bolt of it and turn out to be not something I want to do. But I have watched some videos on how to do it, a couple, 3, and it looks like something really interesting. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's Tilde's, Tilde. And it's, I think, Norwegian. They do watercolor quilts. I didn't put it in, if I can find it again while we're live here. I didn't put it in the bot. Watercolor. If that pulls it up for me. They have the kit at Missouri Star, but the kit's like expensive. And I'm looking for the website for it. Tilda's World. Let me get this link. And Colleen, it'll probably be super long. You may have to fix it for me. That's the link for it. You can download the pattern for free. They do have kits that include the fabric, but when Dawn was talking about it, she said there's a bill of materials, which tells you all the fabrics you need, the colors and stuff. So I downloaded that. I haven't printed it yet, but I will print that in color and then use that to put my own fabrics in there, my own scraps or whatever. But yeah, that looks like it's really fun. And there is a beautiful watercolor quilt in that. Yes, that is it. Did you see that watercolor quilt with that blue as the background? I was like, oh, that's swoon worthy. Almost as nice as the dragon quilt. Yeah, I'm going to try it though. And I figure, why not? I'm learning all kinds of new things being on YouTube. And I've got to look up stump work when we get off of here too. Okay, so I know that all the links have been put in for everybody. If you have not already subscribed to Colleen or to my quilt projects or any of my mods, please do. I'm not, or at least go check them out. Everybody may not be to your taste, but if they are, then that's great. You found a new creator that you can watch. If they're not, you found another creator that you don't like to watch. And you had everything but two. You needed a purple and a mauve. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. And I think you said they use small amounts, like a quarter to a half a yard. So yeah, Colleen's making sure she's got all the links in for everybody. Yep. And Sylvia. And I don't even know who else is still here. But I appreciate you guys watching tonight. Colleen says, be the light you hope to see in others. Sylvia says, be kind to other people, not because they're kind, but because you're kind. And I say, if somebody's to criticize it, tell them to go home. You guys have a great night. Thank you for watching. Bye, guys.